It started with kidney pain that grew worse day by day. Finally, I went to the hospital. The doctor sent me for an ultrasound, and after looking at the report, he told me there was a stone stuck in my ureter. He explained that if it was not removed quickly, urine would be blocked and that could cause serious damage. I trusted the doctor because in that moment you don't question, you just want to get better. He suggested an operation right away, and I agreed. The operation was done quickly, but something went terribly wrong. The doctor had accidentally damaged my ureter. He didn't check properly and still discharged me, telling me to go home. I believed the operation was over, that I was fine, but inside my body, things were far from fine. For the next 5 days at home, I was shivering constantly. My body felt weak, and I was not recovering. Deep down, I knew something was wrong. I couldn't bear it anymore, so I went to another hospital for help. They performed another ultrasound, and the news they gave me left me in shock. They said my ureter was broken and urine had spread inside my body. I could not believe what I was hearing. I told them about the earlier surgery, and they explained that the damage had caused urine to leak where it should not. My life was in danger. They immediately sent me back to the first hospital, the one that had operated on me. In the ultrasound room, they pushed a large needle directly through my body into my kidney to drain the urine that was spreading inside me. It was one of the most painful and frightening experiences of my life. After that, they admitted me and started treatment. Every day, I had to take 10 injections, each costing around $100. But when I woke up, my heart sank. I saw 4 bags attached to my body, 2 draining urine, 2 draining blood. I asked what had happened, and they told me the operation had not been successful. They said they had tried to repair my ureter, but it had failed. I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath me. I stayed in the hospital for 6 more weeks, taking injections every day to fight infection. Both of my hands were covered with scars from the countless needles. At the end of it all, the doctors gave me news that broke me further. They said they had no ability to repair my ureter. Their only solution was to remove my kidney. They told me I could survive with just one. I could not accept this. I refused to give up on my body. I went from hospital to hospital asking doctors if they could repair my ureter. Everywhere I went, the answer was the same. No, we cannot repair it. We can only remove the kidney. Each rejection felt like another door closing. I prayed to God, asking for a miracle because I still believed there had to be hope. Finally, that hope came in the form of a military hospital. They admitted me and treated me with respect from the very first moment. When I told them I could not afford the treatment, they reassured me, saying, "Don't worry, we will use our funds to help you." After so much pain, this kindness brought tears to my eyes. Before the operation, the senior doctor sat with me and explained everything clearly. He said, "We will try our best to repair your ureter. If necessary, we may cut a piece of your intestine to create a new ureter. And if we have no option left, then we may have to remove the kidney." His honesty gave me courage, even though I was terrified. At least I knew he was truly trying to save me. The day of the operation arrived. My family was waiting outside, worried and praying. Hours passed until finally the doctor came out with a smile. He told my family, "The surgery was successful. We managed to repair the ureter. We cut a little piece of the bladder from the top and connected it to the ureter. The kidney is safe." Those words gave my family back their happiness and gave me back my life. When I woke up, I was in the ICU. I stayed there for 1 day before being transferred to the ward. My family was full of relief. After everything we had gone through, this was like being given a second chance at life. For 2 months, I lived with a urine bag as part of the healing process. Finally, the day came when the bag was removed. I cannot describe the feeling of freedom, of being able to live normally again, even with scars. Today, I am much better. My kidney works, my ureter is repaired, and I am alive. But my body still carries the marks of my journey. Multiple surgeries have left scars on my skin. I cannot do heavy physical work anymore, and I must go for medical checkups every 6 months. But compared to the possibility of losing my kidney, or my life, I feel blessed. This journey taught me many lessons. I learned the importance of seeking a second opinion, because sometimes even doctors can make mistakes. I learned that not all doctors are the same. Some may cause harm, but there are others who will go beyond their limits to save you. I learned never to lose hope, even when everyone says no, because somewhere there may be someone who says yes. I learned the power of faith, because in my darkest days, prayer gave me the strength to continue. And above all, I learned that health is priceless. We take it for granted until we almost lose it. My story is not easy to tell. It is a story of pain, of mistakes, and of near loss. But it is also a story of survival, of kindness, and of hope. I went from almost losing my kidney to getting a second chance at life. Now I live with scars, but I also live with gratitude. Gratitude for the doctors who saved me, for my family who stood by me, and for God who gave me the strength to endure. If you are watching this and going through your own struggle, please remember this. Never give up, Even in the darkest night, there may be a light waiting for you. Sometimes I imagine myself walking into a courtroom, telling the judge and everyone present how one doctor's carelessness destroyed months of my life, how his mistake almost cost me my kidney, how my family suffered watching me connected to tubes and bags, how my hands are full of marks from thousands of injections. I imagine speaking out loud about how hard it was to go from one hospital to another, begging for treatment, how I had to hear over and over that my ureter couldn't be repaired, that the only option was to remove my kidney. In my mind, I see the judge listening, maybe even nodding, maybe even agreeing that I was wronged. In those moments of imagination, I feel a little stronger, as if justice is possible. But then reality hits me like a wall. Legal battles are expensive. Even just filing a case requires money I don't have. Lawyers demand fees, and the process drags on for years. What if I spend the little strength I have left chasing a case that never brings results? What if by the time a decision is made, my health is gone, or I am no longer here? My health itself is a prison. After multiple surgeries, my body doesn't have the same stamina anymore. I can't do hard physical work. I tire easily. Every hospital visit reminds me of what I've lost. How can someone in my condition fight a long, exhausting legal war? Then there is the loneliness. My family tries to support me emotionally, but they don't have the means to fight alongside me. Friends? They disappeared when my health collapsed. Some offered words of sympathy at first, but words don't fight legal battles. Words don't pay lawyers. Most of the time, I feel like I'm standing completely alone, holding my pain while the doctor who harmed me continues with his life as if nothing happened. And yet, deep down, I can't silence the thought that if people like me remain quiet, doctors who make mistakes will never be held accountable. How many other patients will suffer like I did? How many others will be told, "We can't repair this, we'll just remove your kidney," when maybe there was another way? If I stay silent, am I letting others walk blindly into the same trap? But then another fear enters my mind. What if I fight and lose? What if instead of justice, I find humiliation? What if the system not only fails me, but punishes me for daring to speak against those in power? These thoughts circle inside me, keeping me awake at night. Sometimes I tell myself, just move on, focus on your health, be grateful you survived. And yes, I am grateful. The military doctors saved me. God gave me another chance. But every time I remember the first hospital, every time I remember the careless words, the careless hands, the careless decisions that broke my ureter and filled my body with poison, I feel a fire of anger. It is not just about me. It is about dignity, about the right of a patient to be treated with care and respect, about the responsibility that comes with holding a scalpel and making decisions that affect another human life. Doctors are supposed to heal, not harm. When they make mistakes, shouldn't they at least be held accountable? I go back and forth, torn between acceptance and resistance. On one side is peace, letting it go, trying to heal quietly, focusing only on recovery. On the other side is justice, fighting a system that may crush me but at least would hear my voice. This is the stage of my life I am in now. I survived the pain, the infections, the surgeries. I survived the scars and the endless injections. But I am still searching for an answer about justice. I am weak in body, I am short on money, I am lonely, and the legal system around me is fragile. But my heart has not stopped asking the question, do I fight or do I forgive? Sometimes I imagine telling him about the months I spent in hospitals, the fear of not knowing if I would survive, the endless injections, the blood, the urine bags, the scars that now cover my body. I imagine showing him my hands, full of marks from needles, and asking, "Do you see what your carelessness cost me?" But then I also wonder, would it matter, or would he simply turn away, as if my suffering was just a footnote in his career? When anger burns inside me, I feel like fighting. I think about the countless people who never speak up, who suffer in silence because they are poor, weak, or alone. I tell myself that maybe my fight is not just for me, but for them too, for every patient who was ignored, misdiagnosed, or mistreated. I feel like maybe God kept me alive not only to survive, but to speak. But then the doubts return. I ask myself, how will you fight? With what money? With what energy? With what support? My health is fragile. Every step I take reminds me that I am not the same as before. Even walking long distances makes me tired. How can someone like me go to court, sit through hearings, and fight lawyers who are paid to defend the powerful? And yet, every scar on my body feels like evidence. Evidence of the truth that should be heard. Evidence that should not be hidden in silence. When I touch my scars, I feel both weakness and strength. Weakness because I remember the pain, but strength because I survived it. There are moments when I close my eyes and speak to God, not with words but with tears. I ask Him for guidance. Should I fight this battle or let it go? I ask him why justice feels so unreachable for people like me. I ask him why those with power escape while those without power carry wounds forever. And then, in the silence of those prayers, a thought often comes. Maybe justice does not always come from courts or laws. Maybe justice comes from telling the story, from making the truth known, from not letting silence bury what happened. Maybe my weapon is not a lawsuit, but my voice. But the question remains open, heavy, and unresolved. Do I fight legally, risking everything I have left? Or do I choose peace, living with my scars and thanking God that I survived? I do not know. My heart pulls me in one direction, my body in another, my situation in yet another. This is where I stand today, alive, scarred, uncertain, carrying both gratitude and anger, carrying both survival and questions, carrying both peace and restlessness. And maybe one day I will find the courage to decide. But until then, I live in this space between survival and justice, between silence and a scream, between scars and healing.